Jones for the undisputed light heavyweight championship of the world. John Jones and Alex Gustafsson. So, UFC 232 plays forth this evening. If you haven't looked at the card, early prelims, and main card, a number of outstanding bouts, shows you the depth of the UFC, and is pretty potent all around. A lot of controversy on this. The early rounds, early fights, the early prelims, and again, this thing kicks off at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 30th. So I don't know. It's out in LA, and I'll fill you in on that controversy. It was supposed to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is not in Las Vegas, Nevada, because John Jones tested positive. The Nevada Gaming Athletic Commission, whatever it's called, NCAS, AC, NSAC, Nevada, whatever. The sanctioning body for the UFC stated they were on holiday. Within a week's notice, Dana White and the Zuffa establishment moved the fight to Los Angeles, to the Forum. So, instead of the T-Mobile Arena or whatever the hell it's called in Las Vegas. So, it's tonight, and it's East Coast time. I don't know when it kicks off because it's 3 hours behind now. Not 2 hours, though. I don't know. Las Vegas may be 3 hours behind too. Who knows? So, it's in Inglewood. The early prelims have Brian Kelleher and Montel Jackson. That's a good fight. And again, I'm talking about the depth of the UFC. I think Kelleher's on a win streak. He's been beating dudes up lately here. He is not on a win streak. I apologize. He beat Henan Barao. So, after the USADA and Jeff Nowitzki implementation in the UFC, which was multiple years ago now, steroid use has diminished increasingly, right? Because they have random drug tests on a number of the high-profile athletes. And a number of the Brazilians who trained very hard, who used steroids, who tried to continue to use steroids, Vitor Belfort, right, were popped a number of times, meaning they took a urine test and it showed positive, and they faced increasingly impacting sanctions from the Gaming Commission, from the UFC, from USADA, from whomever, that they stopped taking drugs, and the lack of the steroids, the ongoing hard training, all led to a number of negatives in their career, and their careers have diminished. The fighters are still brutal. Jose Aldo, Henan Barao, these guys are still brutal. The Brazilians in a couple of the recent fights, fight nights and UFCs, showed up and destroyed people. They are still premier athletes on the globe. Brazil is probably the second greatest fighting nation on the planet. We are the first. Then snippets of Europe and elsewhere behind. But a lot of them have had diminishing careers. And they're getting older. And time is the biggest enemy of a UFC fighter. Not even either if you're actively competing or you're not. And very rarely do you see active competition into late 30s and early 40s. Those are exceptionally extreme athletes. Dan Henderson, Shogun Rua. Some of these guys are very elite, and they're very, very smart about how they fight. and they try not to take massive losses, and very, very skilled wins. But Keller beat Renan Barão. He lost to John Lineker. John Lineker, brutal Brazilian. Woo! Little faux hawk, little fire plug. Talk about steroids. Guy's a little pit bull. And then he was canceled at 2:30, Saturday, November 3rd, UFC 230 against Montel Jackson, and then it was rescheduled for tonight. So Brian Boom Kelleher is fighting Montel Jackson, and I think Montel Jackson has a number of wins coming through here. He's not big. He's 6-1-0. Actually, no. This is his second fight in the UFC. He lost to Ricky Simon, and he's fighting Brian Kelleher after it was canceled last year. So we'll have to see. An up-and-comer. That should be a good fight. Curtis Millender against Siyar Bahadurzad. Siyar Bahadurzada. So Siyar is pretty tough. He's fought a long, long time, for multiple years, since 2012. Nobody huge. He's got wins against him. Brandon Thatch, Claudio Silva, tough guys. And that was years ago. John Howard, Dong Young Kim. Dong Young Kim's tough, man. The Korean Zombie. But no huge fights, so who the hell knows where that's going to go. But I'll tell you what, Curtis Millender is a bear, and that dude has had multiple fights. He beat Thiago Alves, he beat Max Griffin. So this dude's on a tear upward. We'll have to see how that thing shakes out. That's going to be good stuff. The guy's active, he's a grappler, he can still strike, not great strikes, but he can get you on the ground and pound you. So, exciting one there. And then this is the prelim card, Uriah Hall, who's been on an extended slide. It seems like Uriah Hall, he had his heyday a few years back where he was beating a lot of guys, 15, 16, 17, and then he started to slip, and he was beating some big names, man. Gegard Mousasi, Robert Whittaker, he was fighting some big, big dudes. Rafael Natal, Krzysztof Jotko, he was fighting some big, big dudes. These were big names in 2015. Anderson Silva, that thing was canceled. Derek Brunson beat the crap out of him. Round 141, TKO, knocked him the shit out. I remember that. And then that was right after he lost to Gegard Mousasi. That's when he started to slip. He only had one fight against Krzysztof Jotko in 2017, and in 2018 he's had 3. This will be his 3rd. He fought Vitor Belfort, but that was canceled, so they didn't fight. He fought Paulo Costa. Paulo beat him up, knocked him out in the 2nd round. So Uriah has not found the recipe where he maintains weight, he maintains skill set. The skill set continues to become sharper and sharper. His fitness is optimum. He's got a Greek god physique. He's built like a monster, but I don't know what his cardio ever was. He tends to gas. He's a big man with a lot of muscle mass. He's a stand-up striker. He's got fair takedown defense. He's okay on the ground grappling. He's been around since 2013. You would have thought that he would have accelerated his training. It hasn't been apparent. It's not clear that he's gotten better and better. Things like that, you want to change your coaching. You got to find other people. You've got to move around. You've got to change your background, your location. You've got to change your cardio. You've got to get a better fitness coach. You got to get a better endurance coach, strength coach. I don't think he needed strength. I think he needed endurance. He probably could have lost some muscle. He was always fit, even on Tough, on The Ultimate Fighter. And he seemed eager. It clearly seems to me that it's a head issue with Uriah Hall. And maybe a heart issue. Doesn't have the depth. Probably had some gifts and talents. Never pushed himself to that extreme. And as such, never has to. Because there's the likelihood that he'll get in there and knock you the hell out with a strike or take you down and pound the crap out of you. And because of that, he's never had to dig as deep as a Dominic Cruz, right? As a Henan Barrow, as a Jose Aldo, as any of these guys, as a TJ Dillashaw. Go to hell and back. They go to the depths of their soul to turn into the monsters that they are. And they're honed, skilled, disciplined, intellectual monsters in the octagon. Uriah Hall is not that. Uriah Hall is a scary specimen with some skills. I don't know. We'll have to see how this fight goes. The Mad Jamaican, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's going to go. So he's fighting Bevan Lewis, and Bevan Lewis 6-0-0, doesn't have a giant record. I think he's got a bunch of wins, but this is again his first shot in the UFC. So this is an up and comer. Andre Ewell's fighting Nathaniel Wood. They're both pretty seasoned dudes. Their bantamweight should be a decent fight. The little guys, good scrap. They both have depth and skills, striking and ground and pound, but not sure. The prelim card looks pretty tight, man. Who do you got? You got BJ Penn. Again, fighting for BJ Penn is not about money. If you don't know his story, if you're new to mixed martial arts, the dude's been fighting for 15 years. Okay? He goes all the way back. He goes back to 2001. 18 years. 17 years. He's fought. He is the who's who of mixed martial arts. He's the who's who of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. He's the who's who of global combat. Pride. What the hell did he come up in? I think he was the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion from Hawaii. If you have not been to the main island of Hawaii, BJ Penn is a legend. His gym, legendary. Flyers and stuff. Main island is not big, it's an island. His shit's everywhere. Everybody knows BJ Penn. He gives back. His family was extremely wealthy. They had coffee or real estate or plantations or something of that manner. He came from money. He could do what he wanted. He trained in mixed martial arts. He trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He trained in, the art of combat. And he was a fiend. He had problems hitting weight. He's a stocky little fellow. He always had a midsection. But because of his mindset, and he has the mind of an animal, he'll maul you every time. Because of his tenacity at learning, at sparring, at training, while he didn't look optimized as a physical specimen, he would destroy you with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he would destroy you with ground and pound, and ultimately he honed his striking. His stand-up became exceptional for a small man because he's a featherweight. And he stood and threw blows with the who's who of fighting, man. You name it. His fights were epic, including his last few in his last years here in the UFC, which have been destructive for him. 5 rounds where he gets his head pummeled in and his corner has to throw the towel in, which I think it's his brother that's in the corner with him. He won't give up. He's got that mind that until you shut him off, he will continue to fight you. You either have to choke him out or knock him out. And he's back again because this is it. This is his world. I don't know why Dana's letting him fight. I don't think he has the chin that will ever allow him to take headshots again. I don't think his physical attributes will ever be at the exceptional level they were when he was young. I think he's in his late 30s or 40s. As I said, he was a prodigy. That fought as a 19, 20-year-old and achieved world class fighting and championships. And then moved into the octagon. And he's fought fucking anyone. In 2007, Jens Pulver. In 2003, Cauno. In 2002, Matt Serra, Paul Crichton. In 2001, Din Thomas, Joey Gilbert. 2009, Diego Sanchez, Kenny Florian. Georges St. Pierre, who he lost to, beat the other two. Matt Hughes, Frankie Edgar. Dude, who's who? John Fitch, Nick Diaz. This dude has mauled or been mauled by every great welterweight, featherweight in the business. I have remorse that he's back in the ring. I would never not watch BJ Penn fight. Never would I turn down an opportunity to watch this maniac fight. My suspicion is he's going to get beat. He's a freak. He lost against Dennis Silver, the little German who pummeled him to death. He lost against Yair Rodriguez. This was last year. Got smoked. He lost against, 2016, he was fighting Ricardo Lamas. It was canceled. Frankie Edgar destroyed him in 2014. In 2012, Rory McDonald destroyed him. Beat him senseless. BJ's back, man. These guys are the top of the top. And that's what this guy is. He is a world-class combat expert with a mind of a maniac. Brilliant training, brilliant skills, brilliant cage intelligence, brilliant fight technique. Deep technique, multifaceted, multidiscipline, striking, grappling, mixed martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, karate. This dude can roll, this dude can choke you out, this dude can knock you out, this dude can ground and pound you, this dude can grapple you, this guy can cage wrestle you, he can put you against the side of the cage, he can do anything, he can evade. He doesn't have the mind to evade. And if I say to you, BJ Penn, and you are a seasoned fight individual, you are in the know, you will recall when he knocked out, and I don't know who it was one of these names that I just mentioned. Could have been Matt Hughes, could have been anybody. Could have been Nick Diaz. He mimicked a lot of the fighters that he fought, and he had a very big attitude. He did not go in nicely, and he didn't talk nicely before fights. Almost, and it's not cowardly, and it wasn't machismo. He didn't walk in there being a braggart or a big mouth like the Diaz brothers, who also back it up. He walked in there knowingly going to eliminate you, and that's all he said. He didn't talk nonsense. He talked fact. He beat someone, pummeled them, and after he knocked them out and his face was bloody, he licked the blood off his gloves. And I'll never forget that. You're like, that dude is a killer. And if you gave him the license, you gave him the right without any toolkit, he would murder people. That's his gig. And Max Holloway has followed in those steps. El Kukui, the other crazy Hawaiian, right? And the Hawaiian mixed martial arts scene is incredible. So that, my friends, gonna be a sick fight. Sick fight. If you just don't know. And I think Ryan Hall, who is 6-1-0, is a nobody in the UFC. I think he has a high potential to beat BJ Penn. That's the level that BJ's at. He's in a prelim card. He's the first fight in the prelim card. Who the fuck cares? You're watching a legend brawl, and he's going to bring his skills. He won't bring his chin, and that will be a shame, because I don't know what Ryan Hall is. Sounds like he's a striker. Sounds like he's had some wins. He beat Gray Maynard. Gray Maynard's a brawler, dude. Again, a legendary legacy. Gray Maynard's time is up. And Ryan Hall decisioned him, and then he was going to fight Alex White and was canceled. So this guy's a newbie. We'll see how this goes. Holy moly. Hey, bro, yeah, you're coming in. Yeah, this is your third fight in the UFC? Yeah, you're going to fight BJ Penn. Okay, I'll kill a legend. Then you got Douglas Silva de Andrade, another Brazilian, fighting Peter Yan. I don't know how that's going to go. These are two up-and-comers. Though Silva de Andrade has had a long career down in Brazil, 25-2-0. So I think this is a shot for Peter Yan to take some position in the bantamweights. Bantamweight's very active, man. The smaller weight classes, whoo, they got a lot of coming and going. A lot of small peoples fighting and going. There's a women's featherweight. You got Kat Zingano against Megan Anderson. Kat Zingano's on a slide. She's lost a few recently. She had the tragedy with her husband. Her husband hung himself in his dojo, his gym out in Colorado. And I think that impacted her tremendously. She is a hard knocks, brutal fighter. Fights like a dude. Chokes you out, elbows you, grounds and pounds you. Not great striking technique. Stands up and throws. Takes shots and then moves in on you. She'll give you shots until you give her shots. When she's taking shots, she'll move in on you. Got great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Her husband was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu trained. She will trip you. She will put you in a choke. She will ground and pound you with elbows. She'll beat the blood out of you. She'll choke you out. She'll roll you over on the back and choke you out. She had the potential to be a bruiser. She's got a great physique. She's fit. She's getting older. I don't know how she's coming into this fight. I think she still trains at her gym that she owned with her husband in Colorado. I think that's a detriment. I don't think she's elevated her training. And if you're not elevating your training, going to gyms where you have experts, killers, that force you to become better, that force you to hone your fitness, hone your mind, hone your skill set, and then with today's modern approach, like the Performance Institute, hone your physical and biological attributes, where they really give you the tests. They figure out what's wrong with you. They figure out if you're eating too much rice and you have high, levels of some type of toxin, whatever. I don't think she's doing any of that. She is a purist. She's a fighter. So we'll have to see how that goes. I think this is a shot for Megan Anderson. Shot to move up. And then the last prelim fight, Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky. Definitely long time downslide. But years ago, probably 2008-9, can't remember who the fight was, against a big black guy. Could have been Derek Brunson or something, though he's a heavyweight, so I don't know who Andre's a heavyweight. I don't know who he fought. He didn't strike the whole fight. He evaded. Throw a strike. The crowd booed him at the end, and he goes, you guys might have booed me. I still got the W. He knew early on that he had to maintain his chin and his health for perpetuity here, and that's exactly what he's done. He's picked his fights. He's had some shots. I think based on his mindset, and he moved out to Arizona and trained there for a while in the dry temperatures, the dry climate. I don't know where he is now, where he's training. He's been around the globe. The guy's an animal. He had the mouthpiece with the fangs on it, stick his tongue out. He would lick blood. He'd kill you. He's a killer. He's fought the who's who of heavyweights and light heavyweights. He's a freak. He's 6'4". He's got the body of a giant god. He will destroy you. I don't know who Walt Harris is, but this dude better have dynamite in his hands, which I expect he does. Big old black dude coming up, 11-7-0. I don't know. If Andre gets caught with a shot, he will go out. Doesn't have a chin anymore. If he evades and he performs and implements his game plan, which he usually has a fair game plan, doesn't have great coaching, he'll throw strikes, he'll block and evade, he'll try to trip, he'll try to take you down, ground and pound you if you're tough on your feet with big strikes, and he'll try to choke you out. Arlovsky's a bruiser, and he's a legend. But again, on the downslide. He's fought for many, many years. Andre Arlovsky was fighting back in 2000, and he's never stopped, dude. 2000, 18 years ago. Alistair Overeem, Stipe Miocic, Josh Barnett, Pickett, Travis Brown, Frank Mir, the fucking who's who. Dude! Antonio Bigfoot Silva. He's fought Brendan Schaub, and he mangled him. This dude's mangled everybody. Jake O'Brien. He fought Junior Albini and won. He fought Marcin Tybura and lost. And he fought Francis Ngannou and lost last year. He fought Tai Tuivasa and lost. And we just watched Tai Tuivasa in Australia get mangled, get destroyed. He fought Shamil Abdurkamimov, one of these freaking whatever guys over in Kazakhstan, lost, and now he's fighting Walt Harris. So the dude needs the money. The dude loves to fight, it's feeding all of his needs, and he's an animal. That's going to be a sick fight. Enjoy! Hook! I wouldn't be surprised if he gets knocked out, takes a shot, and gets knocked out. I wouldn't be surprised if he trips this dude, hangs with him, takes some blows, trips him, grounds and pounds him, rolls him over, chokes him out, or elbows and pounds him into dust. That's Arlovsky's specialty. Pick one. I don't think he'll knock the guy out standing up. Doesn't have giant knockout power, but he's got good shots. The main card's insane. The first fight, featherweight, Alexander Volkanovski against Chad Mendes. Chad Mendes is the first fight on a main card. Chad Mendes is a killer from Team Alpha Male. Uriah Faber. Not Uriah. Yeah, Uriah. Uriah Faber. Uriah Faber out in California, in Middle California, where it's below Santa Monica, Santa Barbara. It's north of LA, where Faber fights. And he's got his gym, Team Alpha Male. And they're all guillotine choke experts, and they're all little men. And Chad Mendes is one of the best. Chad Mendes put Conor McGregor with a week or 2 weeks notice on his ass and beat him up. Busted his eye open, threw elbows. He's got sick ground and pound. Once he mounts you, he destroys your brain. He'll chop your head apart with his elbows, with his shots. He'll roll you over on the back. He'll guillotine you into tomorrow. He's got incredible takedown skills. He is a Division I national collegiate wrestler. He's a fire plug. He's teeny and thick. He's fast. He's agile. He can strike well. He can stand and throw strikes. Doesn't have great technique, but they have a lot of power. This dude's a freak. That's going to be a barn burner against Volkanovski, another little mauler. One of these catch sambo wrestling freaks that are coming from, Northern Europe, Kazakhstan, the Ukraine, Russia. These fuckers are fiends, man. In the machine. Here's the bad part. When you got a name like Money, Chad Money Mendes, I don't know. I wouldn't have named it Money. I'll tell you what, I love him. He's got that tenacious attitude where you'll never beat him. He's one of the guys that doesn't take a loss. It's just an evening defeat, and he's going to maul you next time. All of Team Alpha Male is like that. Mendes has a good chin still. Mendes has incredible physical attributes still. I would not be surprised if he mauls this guy, though these Eastern Europeans and Northern European Russians, they're coming up fast and heavy. And the machine is putting money into these programs because these programs have popularity. So they're making draws of hundreds of people. If you go to Nurmagomedov, Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov's camps now, there's 1,000 people that are in these camps, and it's just a giant metal building. And it's got basic accoutrements, and they train to kill. And Putin pays for some of this, right? Putin and a bunch of militant killer leaders. And these people will put you in the military. They'll pull you out of the military. It gives them great popularity. It gives them a positive spin. They are world combat experts. They use that to entice people out of the communities. I mean, it's brilliant. They're growing killers. So I don't know. Volkanovski, I've seen him fight. He's a monster. He's 18-1-0. Wouldn't be surprised if this dude just comes in and mauls. This fucking fight is going to be one of the headliners on this card. Watch it. Be ready. It's going to be a shit show. You're not going to have dancing around and shitting around and casual fights. This is going to be brutal. Enjoy it. You got a light heavyweight, Ilir Latifi. Latifi's a bear, though he tends to gas and stall. Good guy, good fighter. Stand-up strikes, can also take you down, ground and pound you. Doesn't have great takedown defense. He's fighting Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson's a bruiser, man. 11-4-0. That guy's fought a who's who. Not exceptional in any way, shape, or form. His stand-up, his physical attributes, his striking, his defense, good takedown. I think he was a collegiate wrestler at a smaller school. He's badass. I mean, he's just your all-around awesome athlete. And this dude, Corey Anderson, this is a shot for him. Latifi, I think, has lost his recent few, so we'll have to see. Carlos Condit, dude, this guy will be in the Hall of Fame. He's legendary. He's had, legendary fights with Robbie Lawler. It's the who's who, again, in the last 8-10 years. A fiend. He's got great stand-up strikes. He's got great mixed martial arts, kicks, teats, front kicks, high kicks, knee kicks, calf kicks. He's got great takedown defense. He's got great trips and takedown skills. He can cage grind you against the cage. He can take you down. Not a giant ground and pounder. Get on top of you. He's got great use of his body. Can mount you, beat you up with his fists or beat you up with his elbows. And then he can choke you out. He's got good submission skills. I think he's a brown belt in BJJ. I'm not sure if he's a black belt. Just a fiend, dude. Probably is a black belt by now. He's been around forever. Carlos Condit is a killer. He's fighting Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa, he's your grinder. He comes in with the mullet. Doesn't look sharp anywhere. Extremely deceptive. He's wiry. He's skinny. He's got great movement. He's got weird angles. He'll do spinning back fists. He'll throw kicks. He'll trip you. He'll throw elbows. He'll throw uppercuts. He's good standing. He's good on the ground. He's good on his back. He's got good back defense. And he's a good submission artist. This guy's got I'm not sure what his BJJ belt is, but he's got a good belt. I would put Carlos Condit as the guy that wipes up Michael Chiesa. I would hope. But Carlos Condit's been around a long time. But he's wily. He's got good cage intelligence. He's fought everybody. It's not like he hasn't been tested in 5-rounders, deep water, brutal stand-up contests. Chiesa, he's 14-4, doesn't have the depth, the record, or the skills that Condit has. I would think in 10 bouts, I would put Condit 8 out of 10. So I think that's the way that's going to go. Then you got your co-main. Females, it's featherweight. This one's huge. This is what everybody's been waiting for. Amanda Nunes goes up. She goes up in weight class to fight the monster, Chris Cyborg. And if you haven't followed Chris Cyborg for 5 years before she came into the UFC, they never had a weight class for her, as Dana and the Fertitta brothers built the women's class. Ronda Rousey was ravaging everyone with arm bars. Cyborg could not drop. She couldn't drop below 45. She was too big. She was juicing like a fiend. Her husband was a fighter. I think still is a fighter in Brazil. Ex-husband now. She's moved to the United States. If you haven't noticed, she's gotten plastic surgery. She's gotten injections in her face. She's tried to beautify herself. She looked like, for a decade, like a dude. She was built in a man's body. She clearly took anabolic steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, down in Brazil, and turned into a mauler. There was nobody in Brazil that she didn't destroy, and she was a big female, over 145. She could never make weight. Ronda Rousey was smart enough never to go up. But now she's down, and they found some bigger females to fight her, and for now she's undefeated in the UFC. I think her record's 21 in a no contest, but I think in the UFC she's undefeated. Amanda Nunes has had to go up in weight. She's had to move up. Chris Cyborg is a striker. She stands and throws. She throws like a man. She has great power behind her boxing. She doesn't have great technique. She's got good technique. She doesn't have a great jab. She throws a power, and I can't remember if she's south or regular, but she throws a power hand, and that power hand mangles you. Then she grapples and pounds you out. She'll elbow you. She'll punch you out when you're down or you're against the cage. She's got good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She just doesn't usually need it or use it. Some of her opponents try to take her down. She can counter that. She's extremely strong. I'm sure she's tested, urine tested quite a bit. She hasn't popped, so clearly while she's in the U.S., she's not using performance-enhancing drugs, and she's got smart coaches. I don't know if she's been popped. I'm pretty sure she has in the past. Again, like I said, she was built like a big man. Now she's lost some size, but she's still got a massive physique, especially for a female. It's a pleasure to watch her fight. She's an animal. She goes in there joyous. She's happy. This is her gig. Combat is her niche. She laughs about it. She loves it. She's got lip injections. She's not attractive. She looks not grotesque, but a little strange. And when you watch her, I've grown to like her a lot. She backs up everything she says. She mangles everyone that walks in the fucking octagon, dude. And I don't know what Amanda Nunes is going to do. Amanda Nunes is tough. That last bout against Rousey, she killed her. Amanda Nunes has become one of the premier female bigger fighters. She's just been destroying people. She's got a physique like a monster. She clearly took performance-enhancing drugs. She's, I think, living in the United States also. Her English has become quite well. She is a great striker. She's got good striking technique. She's got a crisp jab. She's got a great power hand. It's not looping. She's got different shots. She's got an uppercut. She's got a hook. I mean, she is a monster. She will stand and pummel your brain. She'll grind you on the cage. She'll take you down, destroy you with punches, or choke you the fuck out. She is a solidly rounded mixed martial artist. And she's got the tenacity and the insanity of the Brazilians. She's got a mind that just continually pushes. She's got a joyous attitude. But when she walks in the cage, lights out, man. She turns it on. And she wears, I think, a mane or a mask to weigh-ins and whatnot. I can't remember what her name is. Hold on, I'll tell you. Amanda Lioness. She wears a lion's mane. Like she's in charge, and she fights that way, dude. And she's been around a long time. Both of these gals have been around a long time. Cyborg just couldn't line up the fights. There wasn't a big enough female. Nunes has fought the who's who in the UFC, and she's mangled a ton of them. I think she's got a few losses, but she's killed just about everybody. This is going to be a barn burner. And it's not going to be two females sort of working each other, throwing some kicks, whatever. Both of these girls have kicks. I think they have front kicks. They've got side kicks. They do low calf kicks. I'm not sure about head kicks. I think Chris Cyborg has been known for some head kicks. But they're primarily stand-in strikers. This is going to be ugly. You're going to see some blood. You're going to see heads beat in. And maybe a chokeout. Fuck me. Dude, this main card is big. Ooh. And then you got John Jones against Alexander Gustafsson. John Jones, if you don't know, was again popped recently for Turinabol. Turinabol is an old school steroid, like 1950s Russia, and clearly he's microdosing it. He's taking it in really small amounts, and these microdoses, the half-life of the steroid, any steroid, is relatively small. And they've got short-term, mid-term, and long-term metabolic signatures, chemicals that are offshoots of the use of that steroid. Primarily what they do is, what is done, your testosterone is tested, okay? Because when you take a steroid, your testes, the male testes, stop producing testosterone. And your testosterone levels will plummet when you are on steroid use. And when you're off steroid use, they will come back up. And it's not the level, it's the spikes in the level that are a telltale sign that you've been using anabolic steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, human growth hormone, right? And John has been popped now twice in an extended period because it was June, July, August of last year, 2017, and now it's occurred again right before this fight of Turinabol. Turinabol is it's a steroid used by powerlifters, and it's not even Turinabol. It's an oral, it's an ingested, a pill, and it's used by powerlifters and other people that need explosivity and extreme power. and they take it in micro doses for an immediate short-term benefit. Clearly, John has learned this from his brothers who are professional football players who know how to totally game the system. I think professional football is a little more rigid. These guys are getting tests out the wazoo at any time, random, right? And if you're a high-profile person like Daniel Cormier or T.J. Dillashaw or the Preacher's Daughter or Amanda Nunes or one of these gals, right? And you're in the U.S., they're probably getting tested 13, 14, 15, 18 times between fights by Jeff Nowitzki, who is the UFC piss tester and the former USADA head, right? He's a UFC employee, but he worked for USADA. He busted Barry Bonds. He busted Lance Armstrong. I mean, huge profile career making cases, okay? Dana White and the Fertitta brothers hired him. He is an employee wholly of the UFC. He's making gobs of money. John Jones showed positive in a measure of picograms, okay? These are minute. They are horribly small subatomic traces of elements that show that Turnbull has been in his system. The amount is the same or higher than what was found a year ago. The half-life of those steroids will not allow that to ever occur. That's the excuse they're using, that in some way, shape, or form, the body and fat cells are somewhere else, possibly stored, this Turnbull, and its long-term markers that take upwards of 18 months to break down in your system came back out. Complete lies. It's complete lies. And they had to do this because this Fox engagement with the Ultimate Fighting Championship has not been lucrative. It's been lucrative, but the machine needed in the realm of hundreds of millions of dollars to break even, I think 180, and they weren't attaining those numbers at the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view is where they make the majority of that cash. It is not at the gate draw at the stadium. They will make millions of dollars there. They will make millions of dollars on the advertising, but the pay-per-view is a primary source of the major income for Fox, right, for the UFC. So if the draws on pay-per-view are not in the millions, 1.5, 2.3, right? Conor McGregor style, right? Brock Lesnar style, huge draws. Ronda Rousey style draws, then they're not making the big money. And they have been bleeding this year because they don't have any superstars left. Ronda Rousey is gone. Conor McGregor was off for 2 years. And they needed more output from him, not one fight. They don't have the superstars, you know. Tyron Woodley doesn't make draws. Demetrius Johnson is not a big draw. 800,000, a million, 1.1 million. They need double that on every fight. So they have had to force this fight to occur this year. John Jones is one of the biggest draws, and they expected that, and they expected this income to lessen the loss for this year. They're forcing it on the 29th. The Nevada Gaming Commission did not take lightly to this information. And either because they don't have the ability, which they probably do, they called it a holiday. We're on holiday. We don't have the time right now to perform the necessary work to clear John Jones of whatever's needed. They would not allow the fight to take place in Las Vegas. So Dana White and the entire institution moved it to Los Angeles, to the Forum. Brendan Schaub, I think, or Joe Rogan, somebody stated that potentially it was because the UFC's been stalling with Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov over the entire debacle from that fight. Conor McGregor postponed. He asked for a continuance on whatever the findings were. And likely because the UFC's dragging on those two components so that maybe the media dies down. Maybe there will not be the high-profile, high media impact expectation that there are major penalties that are levied against both of those fighters. And the Nevada Gaming Commission, the Nevada Athletic Commission, is pissed off because they're dragging their asses on those findings. There's been no new news. They were meant to meet in early November, I think, or December. They didn't meet the commission, and nothing new has developed in those cases, other than continuances. So I think they said, you guys don't want to play ball with your two big fighters and figure out how we take care of this, then we're not really going to be proactive here when your superstar pops. If we have our way, he's not going to fight. And the UFC would have, if John Jones isn't guilty, which we all know he's guilty. We know he's microdosing. That's exactly what he's doing. He's a cheater. He's always been a cheater. He lives a very aggressive, fast lifestyle. We've seen that in the past from all of his, negative actions. He's had a lot of problems with drugs, with women, with lack of preparation. And yet he's still one of the greatest of all time, or that's his consideration. Even though he's been in this limbo for 2 years, he should have likely, from this pop, been penalized for a 2-year suspension. Clearly, he disrespects the institution and the rules. Clearly, he is of the mindset where he does not have to comply. Clearly, all the other fighters, the majority of the other fighters, do comply. They don't have these suspect tests. They don't have these kind of problems. And it's unfortunate because it's tarnished an entire career of an superb, one of the elite mixed martial artists that ever entered the octagon. And it's not that he's poor. He's made a lot of money, but he could have been the greatest. But I don't think it matters. Can't change a zebra's stripes, man. John Jones is John Jones, and he's getting to fight. He's going to fight tonight against Gustafsson. I hope Alex Gustafsson, who held the key in this, could have said, fuck you guys. I want more information. This guy's, I'm walking in on a guy that's microdosing. I'm walking in on a punk that can't even keep himself clean. You're going to have to triple, quadruple. You're going to have to pay me 10 times. I'm not going to make $2 million. You're going to pay me $20 million. You're going to pay me $10 million. I hope that occurred. I guarantee you it occurred. Dana had to have this fight go off, so Alex is getting paid good money. But it's all unfortunate. And it shows the dark side of any organized major sport. It occurs in all of them. So we sit, we'll see what happens. I hope John Jones is in shape. I didn't see the weigh-ins. There was no fight week because they moved it in a week's notice. Everybody, the reporters, the fighters, the fans, anyone that had tickets to these events, anybody that had to go to Vegas, everyone that had to be there to report, to fight, to watch, to corner, to do anything, to cover, they all had to go to LA. So this has been completely disruptive. It's rather disgusting. It's sad. Dana and Nowitzki did it side by side on ESPN or on Fox or something. Dana couldn't even look at the camera. He kept his eyes down. Nowitzki stated that John Jones failed the drug test, and Dana corrected him. No, he didn't fail. And it was almost like, what the fuck, dude? Buzzword, coin word, safe word. You never say fail. We already talked about this. We just covered this. There's no fail. So it was clear that it's a mess. And then I guess Nowitzki was on Joe Rogan and he tried to explain it away. And it doesn't explain it away because he made some key statements like, I can't tell you. Jeff Nowitzki does not have the information on how John Jones just popped for Turinabol again. That's so ridiculous, right? And this is, if you broke a grain of salt into 50 million little grains, this would be, his test was one of these great. Well, clearly you got a test that can show shit. Clearly, John Jones is fucking microdosing, just like Alex Rodriguez did with his little lozenges, right? You take them in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th inning, and within 2 to 4 to 8 hours, 22 hours, they're gone. But there's still trace elements. It's small enough, but there's still trace elements. You're finding them in John Jones. And clearly, that's going to be a mental advantage for him, not physical. He power lifted. He's been training off cycle because he's been out for 2 years. He's much bigger. He's strong. I don't know if that's good. I don't know what the hell he was on when he was in there. When he was wiry and skinny and he was 20, 23, 25, he was annihilating men, and it wasn't with power. He standing choked out Shogun Machida, Lyoto Machida, against the cage. Standing choked him out and dropped him. Fucking shocking the world. If you did not watch John Bones Jones' early fights, He was savaging the greatest combat experts ever. Spinning back fists, jumping elbows, crazy knee teats. Dude, he was annihilating people. Angles and movements. He was Anderson Silva on roids. I don't know what he was doing. Getting bigger and stronger is not his answer. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he knows what he's doing. This is going to be a fight. I don't think Alex Gustafsson is whatever he was. He's still a Viking combat killer. I don't think he's going to win. I wouldn't be surprised if this fight is similar to the last fight, where they beat each other bloody and Jones wins a decision, or they beat each other bloody and Jones knocks Gustafsson out or chokes him out. He likes chokes. Gustafsson is a brawler. He's a stand-up guy. He's got kicks. He's got some takedown. But he's primarily a stand-up striker. John Jones is multifaceted. He can kill you anywhere. Against the fence, standing in the middle, high kick, knee kick, teat, calf kick, front kick. He can throw elbows, spinning back fists. He can hit you with strikes, with punches, he'll hit you with jabs. He doesn't have huge power. He's bigger now. I don't know what type of physical shape he's in. I don't know what his cardio, if he's got deep cardio. Who the hell knows? Don't even know if he's been training that. It's going to be a barn burner. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not as outstanding as we think. And it's just a couple dudes that continue to throw that semi-gas. I hope not. And go into deep rounds. Who knows? We'll have to watch it. But man, it's going to be a hell of a night. I'm not buying it. Fuck all of them. They did this for money. The machine. I'll probably illegally stream it. I'll watch it afterward. I don't give a fuck. I'm not paying $65 to see some bum who can't even stay clean to go in there and fight after he's been out and out and out. So disappointing. And I don't know why. I think some people will go, what are you, stupid? Who gives a fuck if he takes injections up his ass? Who gives a fuck? You watch the guys go in there and fight. That's not really true. I think they should make anything legal. And who cares? You go in and you fight, right? And everybody should have the opportunities. But that's never the case. Money's always a factor. Coaches is always a factor. Locations and training methodologies. Having access to the Performance Institute or training in a sweatshop down in Brazil, dramatically different. And that's why different facets of the fight game show up. Huge heart, huge science, right? And sometimes one or the other wins. And those are wonderful facets that make it very interesting. I just don't like it. I don't like a fucking cheater. And I don't know if that's fair. I think that's sort of shitty. I love John Jones. I don't like the man. Love the fighter. He's a fiend. We're going to see one tonight. My money's on Jones. I don't think Gustafsson can ever beat him. I think that he was way, way unprepared that first fight. And he admitted it. He hadn't trained. He was doing blow. He was smoking, drinking. He was out of control. And he's admitted to drinking and smoking now. So I don't know what's changed. Not much. He's clearly well off. He's popular. He's happy. He's got a kid or kids. He's got his wife. Probably got girlfriends. Probably rolling like his brothers. Just less money. Because they're fucking Baltimore Ravens, boy. I don't know. Exciting. Let's hope for an exciting fight. That's the rundown for tonight. We'll see how it goes, kids. I hope you tune in and enjoy. Me, I'm not. I'll be streaming it illegally. Out.